Welcome to the deep dive. We take a whole stack of sources, pull out the important bits, and basically give you the shortcut to getting up to speed. Today, we're embarking on, well, a really fascinating journey. We want to understand how a brand built on, really deep roots and this kind of unwavering quality carved out its legacy. We're diving into the story of KushCo. It's a name that's really become synonymous with OG lineage, valley roots, and cannabis crowns. It's quite a story, actually. How this tight-knit group, friends since childhood, really turned their loyalty and, let's face it, serious hustle into a powerhouse, known for that high-octane, valley-made cannabis.
Yeah, and what's really compelling about KushCo starting out in the San Fernando Valley isn't just what they did, but like how quickly they built such a solid foundation. It was all rooted, just like you said, in loyalty, consistency, and just pure hustle. By 2015, I mean, they weren't just some new name floating around. They'd already grabbed a pretty significant foothold on the High Times Cup circuit. And in this industry, where reputation and quality are everything, that sends a very clear signal about their early impact.
Right, so these weren't just like participation awards they were getting. They were winning big, pretty much right out of the gate. In 2015, get this, they got first place. SoCal Indica Flower. That was for their Kosher Kush, a collab with Green Wolf Bellflower. And, as if that wasn't enough, their KushCo OG Live Resin Batter, made with Nature's Lab and the W.E.E.D Studio City. That took third in Denver, Indica Concentrate category. So what do these early wins, these significant wins, actually mean for a brand just finding its feet? And how did working with respected names like Green Wolf or the W.E.E.D, how did that specifically lift their product beyond just getting their name out there?
Well, those alliances were absolutely crucial, way more than just, casual partnerships. Winning those early cups, especially with partners like the W.E.E.D and Nature's Lab, it meant they weren't just showing up to the party. They were immediately seen as serious contenders.
Yeah.
These collaborations, they let them really hone their craft, learn from operators who are already established, and it let them consistently bring what they called fuel-heavy entries, that potent traditional terpene profile stuff, to the highest level. So it wasn't just about sharing shelf space. It was shared knowledge, access to top methods, and this mutual drive for quality. It basically fast-tracked their whole reputation.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. So this dedication to a specific type of product, that sounds like it was their core identity right from the start. They talk about their OG house identity built on authentic gas. What exactly did they mean by authentic gas? Especially when the industry seems to be constantly chasing, I don't know, the next trend. Was it about focusing on those foundational, maybe original genetics, the ones that kind of built the industry, instead of those fleeting, sometimes unstable canny trends?
Precisely. Yeah. For KushCo, authentic gas wasn't just like a marketing buzzword. It was their philosophy, a real commitment. They deliberately stayed away from those candy trends, the sweeter, often less complex strains that were getting popular. Instead, they focused on very specific terpene profiles. Think raw pine, bright lemon, that pungent petrol smell. You know the one. These are the smells, the aromatic compounds that define classic, really potent cannabis. Their mainstays like KushCo OG, Sour Power OG, and Iceberg Slim. These were carefully chosen cuts, engineered specifically for flower jars, for smoking, but also for hash production, the concentrates. This whole approach, it prioritized a deep, consistent, powerful experience over just, novelty.
So that raises a pretty important question then. In a market that's always changing, always evolving, how does a brand keep such a distinct identity? How do they stay true to those roots? Was there ever like a temptation to water it down, chase a different trend maybe? Or do they just consistently stick to their guns?
That OG house identity they built, yeah, that was absolutely their foundation, their bedrock. But you're right, the market doesn't stop moving. It's relentless. So to keep that distinct identity, especially when they moved into the regulated market era where, let's be honest, everything changed, they knew they couldn't just stand still. They had to innovate. But, and this is the critical part, they innovated within their core strength. And that's really where the creation of their flagship strain, Super Unleaded, comes into the picture. They literally crossed their own KushCo OG with their Sour Power OG. It was like doubling down on the very genetics they championed.
Right. And this Super Unleaded, it wasn't just a one-hit wonder or a single product line, was it? What's pretty fascinating here is how this high-octane variety, as they call it, went on to produce a whole family tree of notable offspring. We're talking strains like Sour Unleaded, Double Down OG, and Slim Reaper. And apparently, each of these kept that unmistakable gassy backbone that KushCo was famous for, but with what they describe as subtle modern refinements.
Mm.
So it sounds like they figured out a way to evolve, but without ditching the roots that actually define them in the first place.
Absolutely. Let them broaden their offerings, sure, but while reinforcing that core brand identity. And their approach to retail, where they put their products, was just as strategic. Instead of trying to be absolutely everywhere, they went for a very deliberate, curated presence. They kept their distribution tight, focusing on specific, well-respected dispensaries. You mentioned Walgreens Cares down in San Diego County, Wheelhouse VIP up in Ventura, places like that. This strategy was really key because it protected their small batch identity. It made sure their product felt kind of exclusive, premium. It wasn't about flooding the market. It was about smart placement that reinforced the brand's quality. And let's be real, it's kind of cult status.
And it definitely looks like that careful growth and sticking to their brand paid off when it came to competitions. I mean, from 2019 right through 2022, KushCo just absolutely dominated the Hitman of competition SoCal. They secured first place for Best OG Flower with their KushCo OG year after year.
That kind of consistent winning streak, that really cemented their reputation as OG heavyweight champions, didn't it? Was there ever a real challenge to keeping that streak alive, or were they just that far ahead of everyone else in that specific niche? Oh, it definitely wasn't just a fluke. And while, yeah, they might have been leading in their specific niche, keeping up that level of consistency, that's incredibly hard work. It really speaks volumes about their cultivation standards, very careful genetic selection, and just a deep understanding of their product. And the fact that their dominance continued right into 2023 proves this even further. They grabbed Zalympix's gaseous flower title, that was with their Sour Power OG bred by Karma Genetics, facilitated by the OG JG crew. Same year, they also won first place for Best OG Live Flower at Nothing But Fire. And get this, they took second place in the judges panel for Best OG Flower with Iceberg Slim, which is bred by Dungeons Vault Gardens. I mean, that's a serious haul of awards across different competitions. It just proved their enduring quality, their versatility, but always within that identity they carved out.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it seems really clear. Nearly 2 decades after they started, KushCo is still synonymous with award-winning OG lineage, right? And that valley-bred dedication, and a totally steadfast commitment to fuel-forward cannabis. They've consistently, as you said, resisted shifting trends. They made sure their products stay true to that same terpene-rich, high-octane identity that they built their whole reputation on.
Yeah, and if you connect that to the bigger picture, it really makes a powerful statement. It's about consistency, about identity, in a market that just never stops changing. In an industry where new stuff, new trends pop up almost daily, KushCo's unwavering focus on their core authentic gas identity. Well, that's been their defining strength. It's been their path to long-term success. It really suggests that sometimes maybe the most innovative thing you can do isn't chasing the next big thing. Maybe it's mastering your own lane and just delivering unmatched quality right there.
Right. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. In a world where trends just seem to come and go faster and faster, what is it that makes a brand's dedication to its core identity, like KushCo's commitment to authentic gas, such a powerful, such an enduring force in its industry? It might just make you think a bit differently about quality, about legacy, and maybe whether true innovation sometimes lies in really deep mastery rather than just constant reinvention.